Hello, here we are starting chapter 9, section 9.1, and that deals with factors and greatest common factor. We'll start out with three definitions: prime number, composite number, and prime factorization. Prime factorization is where I want to probably put most of my emphasis. That's what we're going to be doing more of today. But anyway, prime number is a unique number where it's only divisible by 1 in itself. So the only factors are 1 and itself. In examples, start out with 2, 3, 4 is not prime, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, and so on. Composite numbers have more than two factors. And factors, all they are just two numbers that are multiplied together. That's all the factor is. So anyway, more than two numbers. Examples: 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15, and so on. I mean, those will have more than one factors. And prime factorization is just a process of expressing a number with prime numbers. So expressing a number with prime factors. An example of that, let's say we take the number 28. 28, if I were to write this in prime numbers, you're looking at 2 times 2 times 7. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 7, 28. Another one, let's look at 36. 36, you're looking at 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, 12 times 3 is 36. Sometimes it might be easier to use a factor tree. I will show you how to use a factor tree using a number like 36. I just listed these off, just going off doing it in my head. But anyway, using a factor tree would look something like this for 36. Two factors of 36 would be 6 and 6. Neither of those are prime, both 6's are composite. So two more factors of 6 would be 2 and 3, prime, prime. 6 again, 2, 3. And I just circled the primes. So I have 2 2's and 2 3's. That's prime factorization tree, just an easy way of organizing your information. If I were to factor a little monomial completely, this is what I would want you to be looking at. All right, example of factoring completely. Factoring completely. Let's say we had 28x cubed y. All right, factor completely would mean I need to have 28 down in its prime numbers, which is 2 times 2 times 7. All three numbers got to be prime, or all the numbers need to be prime for that matter. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 7, you have 28. And then x cubed, factored completely, is going to look like x times x times x. I got my three x's. Last thing is our y. Example of this expression factored completely. Your answer will look like this. All right. Next part of this we're looking for is the greatest common factor. I will quickly go through that and then we will be done. Alright, greatest common factor, just as it says, is you're asking or looking for the greatest number that they all have in factors. Alright, if I want to find the greatest common factor, greatest common factor, say of 36 and 20. All right, so let's list all the primes of 36 and 20. Primes of 36, if you're not sure, make a factor tree. 6 times 6, we already did this. 2 and 3, so I'm going to circle the primes just to keep them straight. 2 and 3. Alright, so your factors of 36, prime factors are 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, 12 times 3, 36. And then do the same thing for 20. Use a factor tree if you need to. 4 and 5. 4 factors that are 2 and 2. So I'm going to circle my primes. 2 times 2 times 5. Alright, so this is very easy to find your common factors, and that's labeled right up here. It just shows it. Your 2's are common. 2 more 2's. So greatest common factor, common ones, multiply those together. Greatest common factor, you got it's 4. Alright. Pretty simple process. Just put them all in prime factorization, and it's very easy to figure out which ones are which. I'm going to do an example with some variables in it. Let's say we have 18x cubed y and 9ax squared y. Alright, so we'll just start with each variable, and we are again looking for just your common factors. 18 would be 2 times 3 times 3. X cubed, 3 x's, and don't forget your y. 9, 3 times 3 times a times x times y. All right, pull out our common factors. You have 3's, no a's in common, 2 x's are common, and then there's just a y. So multiply these all back together again. Your greatest common factor between 18x cubed y and 9ax squared y will be 3 times 3 is 9. No a's, you have 2 x's and 1 y. Greatest common factor for this 9x squared y. Alright, maybe I should do another example. Example 1, let's do an example 2. 24x y squared, 18x cubed. Alright, then our greatest common factor, I'm going to list the factors for these. 24. 2 times 2 is going to be 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. Okay, times x times y times y. Those are your, this is factored completely, 24xy squared. 18x cubed, factor it completely. It's going to be 2 times 3 times 3. 3 x's. 1, 2, 3 x's. Look for your common factors. 2's are common. 3's are common. Okay. And then the x is the only thing else that's common. So 2 times 3 is 6. Only one x is common. GCF, 6x.